Class? Yes. Oh man, come on. We had a week off. You had a week off. You gotta be somewhat energetic here. All right, let's try this again. Class?
Yes.
Okay, that's better. So I approve. So Trigonometric Equations I. Now, if you try to do this by hand, it takes a lot of work. It does. It takes a lot of time. But do you think I got a method to do it a lot easier? Yeah, I do. So, but you have to follow and pay attention, take good notes. Okay, you got to take good notes. So for here, solving trigonometric equation by linear methods. Now, a couple things that I'm going to point out on this problem first. Now, I have an answer window. Sine and cosine are a wave, aren't they? Sine and cosine are waves, so they repeat over and over again where they go for their answers. So they can repeat, like the unit circle, as it just keeps going around, it keeps going around, right? So we get the same answer at pi over 4. Again, we get that same answer at 9 pi over 4. Yeah, 9 pi over 4, same answer, and you just keep adding that up. So, same thing goes here. What this right here means is include. I can include the 0 in my answer. This right here means do not include 360. So 360 cannot be one of my answers, but 0 could be one of my answers. Okay?
I mean, anything less than 360?
So it is including 0, not including 360. So if you guys remember back in elementary school when you did this, you did like a number line. This would be a solid dot at 0, and it is a open dot at 360. That's what that means. So it cannot be equal to 360.
I never understood that.
Me
so
too.
I don't know what that
Do you understand it right now?
No.
Okay.
That's why you
So
did
so
that
what did I
like that.
just say right now?
I just
Can it be equal to 360?
no.
No. 360 cannot be one of my answers. But can 359 be an answer?
Yes.
Yes. It's everything all the way up to 360, but not including 360. Can 0 be one of my answers?
Yes.
Yes. That is a bracket. That is a closed dot. That means I am including that number. So 0 can be an answer.
So everything between those.
Everything between from 0 to 360,
But not 360.
but not 360, right? So 359.9 could be that. Okay? Does that make sense now? Is that a little bit better?
Yeah.
So, given that much information, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at this. So all these equations must be equal to 0. 0 product rule is my property I'm going to be using here. Everything, all my equations must be equal to 0. All of it's equal to 0. All the time. And the only way to try and do these problems is in degree. So I'm going to show you how to do this in degree mode only. And if you see something that's in radian, what do you think you should do? Convert it to?
Oh.
There we go, convert it to degrees. That's what we're going to do. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my calculator. So, bringing up my calculator. So, I have a calculator here, right? So, we're going to set up our calculator so we can get our correct answers. So, what did I say the first thing you have to do? Degrees. Is your calculator in degrees? If it's not, what do you do? Yeah, just turn it to degrees. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I don't want this piece, I want the graph. So hit scratch pad one more time. And it's going to bring up my graph. Okay? Are we writing this down? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my windows. I'm going to set up my windows. So menu. Window settings. Yes, no, maybe?
Menu,
Yes. So I know you guys are taking really good notes on this, right?
Oh. Is that a window?
Menu, window, settings.
Now, what did we talk about a moment ago about my interval? Where does it start at and where does it end?
0, wouldn't it be 359?
0 to what?
359.
360. Go 0, 360, just because that's what we're using. And I'll show you a little trick at the end if something actually equals to 0. But that's just a calculator thing. So that interval is where we have. So we're starting there 0, and my max is 360.
Wait, I can't find windows.
Did you hit menu?
Yeah.
Did you hit window? Are you on your graph? No, you're not. You haven't made it to graph yet. Hit that one more time. That's your graph. Now, these numbers, the y min and the y max, they're not going to matter too much. They're not going to matter too much since all my answers are going to be equal to 0. This is a 0 product rule. So all my answers is going to be right here close to the x-axis. So I only want to go up. I want to be like -2 and +2. Y min, -2. Oh wait, -2 and +2. And you'll see why once we actually get into graphing this. So this is standard for doing all these equations. I'm going to hit OK. Now, my function. My function has to be equal to what? 0. Is this one here equal to 0? Yeah, it was. What was it? It was 2 sine plus 1 equals 0? Okay, that's what I'm going to enter right here. 2 sine. Oh, wait. You got to use the correct sign. Sine. What?
I typed.
Hit tab. If it didn't come up for you automatically, just hit the tab button, which on the left. X. Now, this is key here. This is where you're going to mess up because y'all aren't paying attention, because I see some people on their phone for some reason. Now, this is how I force my calculator. I tell it I want degrees, and it goes over my variable. I force my calculator to degrees because whenever I'm entering this, it tries to default onto radian. We force it to degrees, and then was it +1 or -1 here? Okay, so over here I put +1. Now, I do not put equals 0. That's actually part of my setup. I need it to be equal to 0, and once I do that, I'm going to look for 0 on my graph. How many solutions do I have here? Try again. 2. Because I'm using 0 product rule, I'm looking at my graph. Did you hit enter?
Okay.
So which one would you choose?
Huh?
So which one would you choose?
Both.
Oh.
You get 2 answers here.
So you put both of them down?
Yep, both answers. So if you notice my graph is showing me where my solutions are in the interval from 0 to 360. And using 0 product rule means I only want the place in which that my line crosses the x-axis. Now I got to try and figure out where those are. So I have 2 answers now, right? 2 answers. So now we're going to go through and find those 2 answers. I'm going to go menu, analyze graph, and what am I looking for here? I've said it like 4 or 5 times. 0. It's a 0 product rule. So to get the 0, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for it where it crosses the x-axis. I want to know where my answer is 0. So it says left bound or lower bound. So you could do this with the mouse.
Wait, what did you just do? Okay, you did analyze graph, and then you said what?
What are we looking for? 0, right? So, lower bound, use my mouse. I'm going to click on the left-hand side. Lower bound means the left-hand side. Click it. Upper bound means the right-hand side. So drag it. So my answer is 210. Anyone struggling there?
What was the one over there?
How would you think we'd do that?
I already forgot how to do it.
Same steps. Why didn't you write it down?
Wait, what did I forgot? I went too fast.
Okay, let's. I'm doing it again. So this is repetition. What are we doing next? I want to find that second one. What button do I push first? Menu. So you do not forget what you're doing. I know you're writing it down as we're doing it, right? You hit what?
Menu.
Did you write it down?
Doing it right now. Watch it.
What are you writing down?
Menu, analyze graph. So you click
Menu, analyze graph, and what are we looking for? 0. Please do that.
Are we gonna?
Did you write it down?
Yeah. Are we gonna look for 0 for all of them?
Yes.
So.
Yes, and that's why I started my problem with saying it must be equal to 0. That's going to be everything here. Must be equal to 0. Yes.
Okay.
Huh? Go ahead.
So is all
Gotta take Kiki's broom.
is all of this on the calculator?
Yep.
Like there's
How
no
do you
math?
move the thing?
Which you use the mouse. Scroll the mouse.
Oh.
There we go. Hey! Gotta take the broom. Take the broom, or you ain't going. Menu. Analyze graph. 0. Right here. And over. So my two answers are 210 and 330.
Wait, how'd you get that one? I just missed it.
What's the first button you push?
What did
What's the first button you push?
Menu, analyze graph, 0.
No,
and then
she's
it's
asking.
And then where you want lower bound, move to the left of it. Move to the left over here.
I mean, wait, how do we write? that?
Menu. I'm going to get that. Analyze graph, 0. Look, I'm going to move to the left of the dot. Click, and it says upper bound now, and I just trace over. Until it actually, my dot pops up there. And someone just asked a question
Oh, so how do you write the answer?
as a set notation. I'll show you here in a moment.
I still can't get that. Oh, I did it.
So 210, 330. So we're writing it as a set. There we go, 210 and 330. So, you think we're going to do this a bunch of times? Yes. So it's practice over and over again. Now, let's go to the next one. Like I said, I'm going to do 2 examples today, and then we're going to do the rest on Wednesday. But I want to give you time to actually work on this right now. All right? So, there's, blah, blah. There we go. Example 2. So what's the first thing I look at? The what? Yes, 0 and 360. That is my interval, 0 and 360. So that's my standard window of what we've been using. So that's my windows, 0 and 360. Now the next thing I have here is, it says, this is my problem. But what did I say I have to have? It's got to be equal to 0. We got to do a little bit of math to make this one equal to 0. What am I going to do to try and get the right side of my equation to be equal to 0? Not substitute. No. Okay, so there's a sign there, right? So let's say, for instance, you're driving home And there's a stop sign there that you always go through. Okay, but you don't want to stop there. So what's the best way to not get a ticket?
Go fast.
No, remove the sign. Right? Be like, hey, I got a bunch of these signs in my yard now. Okay, I got a bunch of handicap parking signs. You know, not just because my mother-in-law, not just because someone's playing on their phone right now, because I should get salty over that. Yes, that's you.
I'm not playing on
Hey, pay attention now. So, remove the sign. There's a sign there. How can I remove that? Subtract it.
That's literally what I asked.
Yes, he said to start with an S.
Yeah,
He said-
literally.
Oh, start with an S.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't I apologize
It's okay.
because I didn't hear that clearly. I was yeah. So yes, it does start with an S. It is subtract, but a lot of things start with S too. So sine theta tangent theta equals sine theta. So I'm going to subtract sine theta from both sides of my equation. Now, if you notice, the sine and the tangent are multiplying together, aren't they? So those are different. So when I write this together, it's going to look like this. Sine theta tangent theta minus sine theta equals 0. That right there is where it now equals a 0. I subtracted the sign from both sides, right? So now it's equal to 0. So now that it's equal to 0, what can I do now? Now I can plug that in, right?
Put that most recent one in the calculator, right?
Yes, that one right there. Because I'm using what rule?
Zero product?
Zero product rule. Zero product rule. All the time. Yes.
How do I get rid of it? Do I just...
You hit tab and arrow up. I'll show you how to. Or if you're having trouble with it, hit dock and letter B. That will clear out everything. And you start over fresh. So I highly recommend, since we're still learning how to do this, everyone hit dock B, clear out everything, and start over fresh by setting up your window. So I'm going to go to mine. If I can find it. There you go. All right, dock, letter B. Now, I'm on my scratch pad. That's why I'm doing this.
I don't see window.
Scratch pad. Now, menu, right? So, did we write down these steps to get here? I'm hoping. So, menu, window, window settings. What was my minimum? 0. What's my maximum? 360. Very good. And for the Y min, I use -2, Y max +2. Because all my answers are going to be around the x-axis. So I don't need it to be that big, because otherwise it's going to make everything stretch where I can't see it very well. And we have this set up. If you have something in here already, or you can't get to this, you hit the tab. Tab will open this up so you can enter my function. Now, I start off with sine, and I use the variable x. Use the variable x.
X degrees?
X degrees, very good. Why am I doing degrees?
So forces and degrees.
Forces the calculator to always do degrees. That's why I need to tell it that.
Wait, for all of that or just that X?
All of these, all the x's. Okay. That's fine. Minus.
Why did mine look like... Oh. Poncho,
What?
what'd you do over spring break?
So, is this what yours looks like? Yes, right? Now, So does it look like 0 is one of my answers here?
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? So I'm going to show you something. So if it looks like 0 is an answer, if it looks like 0 is an answer right here, I'm going to change my window a little bit.
Wait, why does mine look like this?
Because you did something wrong. You didn't have the sine times tangent. All right, so I'm going to change this. I'm going to change my window because it looks like 0 is supposed to be an answer. So I'm going to change this from 0 to -5. Now, if you notice, I could clearly see left side and right side that it is crossing right there, isn't it?
Wait, is that a minus sign or is it a negative sign?
It's, yeah,
What does that
-5.
mean?
Wait, Susan has four
Negative sign?
answers, right?
1, 2, 3, 4. Does it look like my answer could also be 360? It looks like it could, but is 360 allowed to be my answer? No, it does not. It's not going to be an answer. So let's go ahead and do the same thing that we did to finding my 4 answers. Let's find the 4 answers. Menu. Analyze. 0. There we go. So I got 1 answer there. Another answer there. Yes.
How do you know that's where you're getting that? That's my question.
Say it again.
How do you know where to go to get your answer?
Oh, okay. So, zero product rule. See this right here? This line, the x-axis, that's where my y value is equal to 0. So that's why we're looking for is always going to be on the x-axis, where my line crosses or touches the x-axis. Just to make everything simple, that's why we use zero product rule. So everything comes out to be there. That's why. And so if you notice the blue line crosses there, doesn't it? So I'm going to do it again over here, aren't I?
So where the blue line is at?
Yep, where the blue line crosses the x-axis. And where am I at? Menu. So I have 4 answers here. I have 4 answers here. So I'm going to go through and write out my answers. So after I did this, I now have a solution set of 0 degrees, 45 degrees. What was the next one? 180. And so in my solution set, that's what I end up with. All right, questions, concerns, complaints?
Can you help me?
Yeah. So I want to give you guys time to actually do these problems now, because this is a calculator thing that we need to do in class. So we got to use this. So I'm gonna pause or stop the video here. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification button and use the promo code I need to pass to get 10% off my merch store.